Texas Tech absolutely obliterates number 6 Kansas by a score of 79-50. Darrion Williams was perfect, literally, from the field and from behind the arc, and Robert Jennings was the best big on the floor with an All-American on the opposing team. In today's video, we'll recap it, discuss those star-studded performances, and why nobody, and I mean nobody, should want to play the Red Raiders in March Madness. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast. And if you're excited about this Texas Tech victory, not even just a victory, dominant victory over the number 6 Kansas Jayhawks, I got to ask you to do one thing. Simply like the video. That's it. Let's jump right into this because this one was a lot of fun to watch. Texas Tech led in this game for 38-plus minutes. It really didn't even feel like much of a contest once Texas Tech got into double figures. You know, at halftime, it was that 9-point lead. You were like, okay, what kind of Texas Tech team are you going to see come out of here in the second half? Well, they came out and they expanded that lead and then some to end the game. But it all starts with Darrion Williams. Got to give this guy his flowers. He was absolutely perfect. 12 of 12 from the field, 4 of 4 from 3. And oh, by the way, he had 11 rebounds, back-to-back double-doubles for the Nevada transfer and true Texas Tech sophomore. He has just been sensational. In his past 2 games, he has 43 total points and 24 rebounds. This man is averaging 21.5 points and 12 rebounds the past 2 games in the toughest league in America. By the time it's all said and done, Darrion Williams will be an all Big 12 type player. Maybe not this year, but when his time is done at Texas Tech, hopefully in 3 years, he'll be an all Big 12 type player. Not a doubt in my mind, this was his career night so far in the Scarlet and Black. We have to talk about Robert Jennings. I've been a guy that's been critical of him. I'll call it what it is. I have been critical. He is a smaller big. He was the best big on the floor for either team last night. And this matchup between Texas Tech and Kansas had 2 of the top 4 bigs in the conference. And Hunter Dickinson, who is likely going to be an All-American, albeit on the second team. And then Warren Washington, who is one of the most impactful bigs in the country. Robert Jennings made Hunter Dickinson look pedestrian. I mean, he was putrid. And a lot of that had to deal with what Robert Jennings was doing. He was physical. That was one of the things that I had talked about in terms of we got to see Robert Jennings be more physical. Well, damn it, he shut me the hell up last night. He was sensational. And the game plan that Grant McCaslin and crew to throw at Hunter Dickinson, they did not let him post up where he is most comfortable, which is right on the block where he can go to either shoulder. He's a skilled big. Now, more of a finesse big, and that's not just for me. Go listen to some of the Kansas fans out there where they just want to see Hunter Dickinson dunk a basketball for once in his life. But Texas Tech pushed him out a little bit, albeit just maybe a foot and a half away from the block, and then they sent in a double with Joe Toussaint, Pop Isaacs, Kerwin Walton, Chance McMillan, whoever it was, and it made Hunter Dickinson really just panic. It felt like all night. And outside of Furphy for Kansas, I mean, they really didn't do too much on a consistent level. And that all comes from Grant McCaslin and crew and the plan that they put in place. Now, I'm sure there's going to be some Kansas fans coming into the comments because this is a Big 12 channel as well that said we didn't have Kevin McCullough. DeJuan Harris Jr. was hurt. If you can truly look at yourself in the mirror and tell me that Kevin McCullough is the difference in this basketball game for Kansas, you're delusional. It's delusional. Texas Tech dominated in every facet of the game. You pick it, they won it. Okay, they out-rebounded Kansas by 16, 42-26. They absolutely dominated the Kansas Jayhawks from start to finish of this basketball game and really just enforced their will on both sides of the floor. This is the first time that a Kansas team has been held in conference play to 50 points since 1950. Also, by the way, this is the largest margin of victory in terms of for the opposing team against Bill Self and his time at Kansas in the Big 12. So there's that as well. So I also want to point this out because it really came to a forefront last night in some key situations. And we'll talk about Texas Tech and why I think they're a team no one wants to play in March here in just a second. But Grant McCaslin and the job that this coaching staff have done with out of timeout plays or OTPs, I mean, they've been legitimately sensational. This, according to the Nation's Austin Massey, Texas Tech ranks as the top Power 5 men's basketball program in this regard in out of timeout plays. averaging 1.068 points per possession with nearly a 60% effective field goal percentage. Those are gaudy numbers, specifically for an out-of-timeout play where you have to think about this. Your coach, Grant McCasland, right? He gets to draw up a play. Well, they get to draw something up too in terms of trying to stop it. And Grant McCasland just absolutely dominates in that regard. And you see him with the chalkboard out there. I guess technically not the chalkboard. It's a whiteboard, isn't it? With the expo markers. Anyway, I digress. He's been sensational with that for Texas Tech. And it's really proven to be huge for Texas Tech in the sense of those times where, okay, he calls a timeout and there's a rough patch going on there, whether that's, a scoring drought or the other team's making a run. He comes in, mitigates that, nips it in the bud, and Texas Tech seemingly always gets a bucket out of the timeout. It's truly been sensational. All right, before we get into why I think Texas Tech is a team nobody wants to play in March, let me know your one word to describe Texas Tech's win over number 6 Kansas down in the comments below. And if you haven't already, head on over to homefieldapparel.com and use the code BACK12 to save 15% off your new favorite Texas Tech vintage tee. It's my favorite Texas Tech shirt that I have. No joke. I'm going to be wearing it to the baseball series this weekend for Texas Tech. I got the 3/4 sleeved one, and then I got the retro Texas Tech men's basketball shirt as well. You should go grab yours over at homefieldapparel.com and save an additional 15% when you use the code BACK12. All right. There's some people that are going to say, oh, this is an overreaction. RC, they beat a team that didn't have their best player, yada, yada, yada. Stop it. When Texas Tech is not sick, they've proven what kind of team they are, albeit it's streaky. Let's just call a spade in that regard. But this Texas Tech team is resilient as hell, okay? What was the main issue, though, I ask you guys, coming into the season? What was the main issue for Texas Tech? Okay, think about it just for a second. For me, it was height. It was size, rebounding. Well, as I mentioned earlier, Texas Tech out-rebounded Kansas by 16 last night. Yes, does Kevin McCullough make a difference? Sure. But not that much. Do I expect this to be the norm for Texas Tech moving forward, just absolutely dominating the glass? No, I don't. But I will say this. If you get anywhere close to what Robert Jennings has done really for the past 2 weeks now when guys have been out sick and really these past 2 games where they've been back at full strength, that's a game changer for Texas Tech. I don't need him to be an all Big 12 type center. I just need to have him be a viable backup big. And that's exactly what he has been. He has finally gotten back to full strength. You could tell early on in the year, specifically in non-con and even early on in Big 12 play, he was still battling back from an injury that he had in the summer. He started his camp late. A lot of people don't know that. He's playing some of his best basketball of his career, whether that's at the high school or the college ranks, and it's at a perfect time for Texas Tech. Think about this as well. Texas Tech took Kansas to the woodshed last night. I mean, they just dominated. And their 2 leading scorers, Pop Isaacs and Joe Toussaint, combined for 13 points. Johnny Furphy had the same amount of points for Kansas as Pop Isaacs and Joe Toussaint had combined in this game. And what does Texas Tech do? Nearly win by 30. Okay? The thing is a team cannot game plan for one specific guy. If they do, it's probably going to be Pop Isaacs. You know what, though? You got a guy like Darrion Williams that can beat you. He proved that tonight. Chance McMillan, oh, he can do that too. He proved it in the Oklahoma game. Joe Toussaint has proven he can compete at a high level in the Big 12. Oh, okay. You got some other guys out there in terms of if you're going to leave those guys and cover those guys, Kerwin Walton's going to have a one-on-one matchup, and we know what kind of sniper he is from the outside. Warren Washington can create his own shot as a big with his finesse game and touch around the rim as well. There's so many different pieces that can be really the center of a game for Texas Tech in terms of a victory. There is no opposing coach in America that wants to face Texas Tech because, again, Texas Tech, their best 2 players really didn't play well in this game, and they just annihilated Kansas. Okay. And again, I'm not saying this is going to happen each and every night, specifically on, the boards, and then your 2 best players aren't going to score like this. And we know Darrion Williams isn't going to be perfect every night, literally. But Texas Tech has a formula after being battle tested in the Big 12 all year long to go into March Madness and make some noise. And I'm telling you right now, if they get to the second weekend and they're in the South region, you better turn the hell up in DFW if you're part of Texas Tech and Red Raider Nation, because it is going to be a lot of fun with that region being in Dallas, okay? I'm not saying this is a Final Four team. Please don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm just saying this team could make some noise because there's so many different ways to beat you, and they're so well coached. They're so well coached, and probably the most important aspect of this moving forward for Texas Tech, they're in. They bought in, and right now, they're seemingly a tournament team. I have always said if they get to 7 wins in conference play, they're in. Well, they're at 7-4, and they're a game out of first place. Their next game will be up in Ames, Iowa, against the top 10 Iowa State Cyclone bunch and TJO's squad. All right, before we get out of here, one more time, like the video if you haven't already. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell. And then also leave me your one word to describe this Texas Tech men's basketball victory over No. 6 Kansas. If you ask me, it's in the title. Dominant, just absolutely dominant. But I want to hear from you guys. Let me know down on, well, the comments below. And if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell to join the most engaging Texas Tech community and the largest Texas Tech fan community here on YouTube in the Back to 12 podcast channel.